Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, this is our fourth session for this topic, statement and assumption. We have discussed so many questions based on the topic, and we have some more questions to be discussed. So let's begin this session, and once again I have a suggestion for you. Just pause the session when you see the question, try to analyze it on your own and then match your answer and solution with mine. Okay, so let's begin the session. Now let's take this one statement. No democracy has paid a heavier price of adult franchise than India. Illiterate people, after being given the power to vote, have ushered in a kind of functional anarchy. Excerpts from a speech. Okay, this is the statement given from a speech. Now this assumption first. Adult franchise is not a healthy thing for a democracy. See here in the statement, the author or the speaker is not opposing adult franchise. See, you know, adult franchise, that means the person who is above 18 can vote in a democracy, right? So in the statement, the author or the speaker is not opposing adult franchise. He is opposing the practice which is done by illiterate people, right? The people who are illiterate and they are above 18 and they are also entitled for vote in democracy, right? But because of their illiteracy, the situation of functional anarchy is there. Okay, so this assumption is not implied from the statement, as the speaker is not against adult franchise. He is in favor of adult franchise, but the adult franchise to be practiced by literate people only. Second one, only literate people should be given the right to vote, as I've already explained in the previous assumption. So that is actually implied from the statement. He is favoring the adult franchise if the voting is to be done, or voting is done by literate people. Okay, there is a functional anarchy in India. That is already given in the statement, that illiterate people, after being given the power to vote, have ushered in a kind of functional anarchy. That means there exists a functional anarchy in India. Okay, so we have second and third assumption to be implicit. So I have option this one, E, second and third are implicit. Okay. Statement, you won't get sweets at any cost. I will not let you eat things that are not good for your teeth. A mother tells her child. Okay, the first assumption, the mother cares for child. Now in the statement, it is the mother is clearly telling her child that she will not give anything which is not good for her child's health. That means she cares for her child. So that is clearly assumed from the statement, right? No discussion about it. Sweets are not good for health. Now sweets are not good for health, or they are bad for health. It's a different issue if it is talked in general, but according to this statement, in the statement the mother is telling, I won't let you eat which is not good for health, and she is referring sweets, right? So according to the statement, sweets are not good for health. According to mother, or according to speaker over here, sweets are not good for health, right? And we have to judge this particular statement only. We have to assume from this particular statement only. We don't have to give a generalized opinion about sweets, whether they are good for health or not good for health, right? But over here she is telling that she will not give sweet and she will not give anything which is not good for health. That means indirectly she is telling that sweets are not good for health, right? So that can be assumed from the statement. Okay, the mother has the authority to decide what her child is to eat. Obviously, that's why the mother is telling her child, right? She has full authority, and because of because of that authority, the mother is telling the same to her child. Okay, so all the assumptions are implicit. Okay. Statement, there is so much noise out here. How can a sincere student study here? A mother of a student tells her husband. Okay, a concerned mother is telling the There's so much noise out here. How can a sincere student study here? Right? Now the first assumption, noise is not very conducive to children. See here, we are not talking about noise as general, but yes, we are talking about noise when a child wants to study, when a student wants to study. So at that time noise is not very conducive, but here it's a generalized statement. It is not particularly about this student, right, or this situation. This is very generalized assumption, so it doesn't, or I can say it's not implied from this particular statement, right? Second, noise may hamper study. Yes, that's the same thing the mother is telling her husband, that if there is so much noise, since a student can't study. Okay, so obviously noise may hamper study. If noise hampers study, that's why she's telling the same. The mother cares for her child's health. See, noise has nothing to do with child's health, right? It is just a disturbance in his studies. It is nothing to do with his health, right? So only assumption 2 is implicit. Okay, only assumption 2, because over here the mother is talking about noise, that the noise hampers her child's study. Okay, so only 2 is implicit. Now this statement, I think we will win. We have got the most talented scorers on our side. The national hockey coach in an interview. Okay, the first assumption over here, talented scorers are crucial for any team's victory. Yeah, that's pretty much assumed from the statement, as the statement itself is telling, or the coach is telling, that I think we will win. We have got the most talented scorers on our side. So he is confident, or he is having some sort of confidence that he will win, or the team will win, because they have got talented scorers, right? So talented scorers are crucial for any team's victory. It is implied from the statement. Then hockey is different from other sports. Now that's a very generalized statement, that very generalized assumption, but it cannot be derived from this statement. It cannot be assumed from this statement. Here in this statement there is no comparison of hockey with other sports, right? So this assumption is not implied from the statement. Then chances of victory are different from actual occurrences of victory. Again, that's a very generalized assumption. It is true for any game. It's not about hockey, right? And here there is no suggestion or no hint, or we can say no clue about this in the statement, right? In the statement, the speaker or the coach is just saying that there are chances of winning because they have got talented scorers, right? So only assumption 1 is implied, so we have option A. That's only 1 is implicit. Okay. Statement, there is a gun in my hand, so you better behave like a good boy and bring out all your valuables without calling the police, a thief tells a housekeeper. Now that's a very general warning which any thief will give, make when he is going for any robbery, right? And he must be having some weapons in his hand. Maybe it's a gun or maybe it's a knife. So the same can be used to spread fear, to, or we can say, arouse fear. Okay, so the first assumption over here, when people see a gun they behave like good boys. Now here the thief is using the phrase behave like a good boy, is actually a tone of sarcasm. We should not take the literal meaning of the same, right? The housekeeper will behave like a good boy when he sees a gun. It's a different sense. You can see it's a different sense, because behave like a good boy is a tone of sarcasm, and the thief is creating a fear over there, right? Because he has weapons, dangerous weapons in his hand. He is having a gun in his hand. Hence, okay. So this assumption is not implied from the statement. then fear brings a sense of surrender. Yes, that's why he's creating, or he's using his gun to arouse fear, right? So the housekeeper will surrender, or the housekeeper may surrender, and he can uh, take the things whatever he wishes, right? So that assumption is implied. Then the third one, the police should not be called when people are afraid. Now, the third assumption, the police should not be called when people are afraid. See, this assumption is very far from this given statement, isn't it? See, here the thief is warning the housekeeper that he should not call the police, right? Because he has some dangerous weapons in his hand. He is having a gun in his hand, and he is just trying to arouse fear, right? So in this case, in this particular case, the housekeeper should not call police. And over here, the assumption the police should not be called when people are afraid. It's a very, very different case, you can see. You can say. And whenever you are afraid of anything, you do not call police, right? Police is called only in certain cases. Suppose I am afraid of darkness, I cannot call police, right? So all these situations are different. If this thief goes away, right? If after robbery, obviously the housekeeper will call police, whether he's afraid of him or not, right? So this assumption is nothing to do with the statement. Okay, this is a very generalized assumption, or it may or may not be correct every time. Okay, so the third one is not implicit. So we have just second one, fear brings a sense of surrender, right? So the only two is implicit. I hope it's clear to you. The red line buses must be banned. They have killed so many people on the roads. A passenger tells a colleague. The assumption, the passenger has the authority to ban them. See, if I'm making any opinion, if I'm giving any opinion, that doesn't mean I have authority to control the same. Right? Suppose I'm giving my opinion on working of government, right? Or I have giving an opinion that Sachin should not play now. He is old enough, so he should not play now. I can give my opinion, but I cannot ban Sachin. I cannot stop Sachin from playing. Okay, so everybody has right to give opinion. Okay, but that doesn't mean he has authority to control them. So this assumption is not implied from the statement. In the statement, the passenger is just giving his or her opinion. Okay. Second, buses that kill must be banned. In the statement, the person or this passengers is ultimately telling that this red line buses have killed so many people. That's why they should be banned. That means it can be implied from the statement that buses that kill must be banned. Ultimately, his motive is the buses should be banned which are killing so many people. The third one, the colleague may agree with the passenger's view. See, this passenger is giving his or her own opinion. It's not necessary for the other part to be agree with this person. Okay, so only this 2 is implicit over here. So it is option B, only 2 is implicit, since everybody is having his or her own opinion and he is right to put his opinion, but it is not necessary for the other part to be agree. Okay. Statement, the success of a film does not change me or my behavior. Why should it? I don't think I have become arrogant after Bajigar's success. Shah Rukh Khan in an interview. Okay. The first assumption, some stars do change after a successful film. Yeah. Here, Shah Rukh Khan is telling about himself only. And he's saying the success of film does not change me or my behavior. That means it is observed somewhere the success of film changes the behavior of the stars. Right? That's why he has to mention about himself. Okay? So some stars do change after a successful film. Okay, so that can be assumed from the statement. Bajigar is a successful film. Yes, it is already mentioned over there. I have become arrogant after Bajigar's success. That means Bajigar is a successful film. There is no reason why a star should change after a successful film. Now you just see, why should it, right? Why should it? It is according to Shah Rukh Khan that nobody should change after a successful film. Otherwise, if we judge this assumption as an individual, there may be different opinion about it. But as far as this statement is concerned, this is implied from the statement, as Shah Rukh Khan is telling that nobody should be changed, or nobody should change his or her behavior after a successful film. Okay, so all the three are implicit or the three are implied. So we have option E, that all of them are implied. Okay, see the statement. We cannot prevent the shock waves, but we do compensate for them. Insure with Oriental Insurance, the company that offers most comprehensive insurance against earthquakes. And advertisement. Okay, so the first assumption over here, let's see the first assumption. Earthquakes carry shock waves with them. Now we read the statement once again. We cannot prevent the shock, right? This is the important point. We cannot prevent the shock, but we do compensate for them. Insurance with Oriental Insurance, most comprehensive insurance against earthquakes. So here it is earthquake and here it is shock waves. That means earthquake carry shock waves with them, because the company, the organization is telling that they cannot prevent the shock waves, but they can compensate against earthquakes. That means earthquake and shock waves are related terms. Okay, so we can say, or we can assume, earthquakes carry shock waves with them. So first assumption is implied. Then Oriental Insurance is not the only company that insures against earthquakes. Now again read the statement carefully. The company that offers most comprehensive, right? Why do we use most? If we have to see, there are if there are so many companies, so many organizations in this domain, then only one will be using most. Otherwise, if nobody is there, why to use most? There is no comparison, right? So that is a superlative degree. That means there are so many persons or so many companies in this domain. That's why, and this company, particularly Oriental Insurance, is offering the most comprehensive insurance, right? So this is also implied that there are so many companies in this domain. Okay, so second is also implied. Earthquakes are natural phenomena. Now that's as an individual, this is a correct statement, but over here from this statement it cannot be assumed. Over here in this statement there is no mention of what is a natural phenomena, what is artificial, what is, or what are other disasters, right? So we just have to consider these two assumptions. These two assumptions are implied from the statement. The third one is true, but it is not implied from the statement, as in the statement there is nowhere any mention of natural phenomenon. Okay, so first and second are implicit. So we can say first and second are implicit. The statement over here, there's a very heavy traffic on the road between 5 to 7 p.m. We need to have a flyover in this area, a planning engineer in a meeting. Okay, the first assumption, heavy traffic is sought to be maintained. Okay, that's just contradictory from the given statement, so it cannot be assumed. Then previous planning engineers did not do much about heavy traffic. See, the statement is telling the requirement as of now, right? The person, the planning engineer, is not making any sort of comments on previous engineers' work, right? It is quite possible that earlier the requirement of flyover was not there. Now because of heavy traffic it's required, right? So either the engineer nor we, none of us can make any sort of assumption like this. The previous engineers did not do much about heavy traffic, right? So this assumption is not implied from the statement. The person or the engineer is talking about the requirement of today. Okay, a flyover is likely to solve the problem of heavy traffic. Now this planning engineer, if he's suggesting to make a flyover, to have a flyover, that means, and he's indicating heavy traffic also, so that means the flyover is to be the flyover is likely to solve the problem, right? Otherwise, why would he make the requirement of put the requirement of flyover and he'll indicate heavy traffic, right? So both the things are related. Heavy traffic will be reduced or will be maintained, or will be, the problem of heavy traffic can be solved if there is a flyover, right? So this assumption is implied, so only assumption 3 is implied, so only 3 is implicit. Okay. The next statement, corruption needs to be fought at all cost. We are paying a heavy price for corruption, a minister in his speech. The first assumption, the minister is not corrupt. Now from this statement, this can be implied because the minister is making this point before public, right? Making the statement before public that corruption needs to be fought at all cost, right? That means, and apart from that, he's telling we are paying a heavy price for corruption, right? That means he himself is not corrupt. That can be assumed from this statement. What actual what is the reality, that we cannot comment upon, but from this statement it is assumed, it can be assumed that the minister himself is not corrupt. Otherwise he cannot make such statement that we are paying a heavy price for corruption. Okay, and he cannot he will not suggest some other to go for a fight against corruption if he himself is a corrupt person, right? So the first assumption is not implied, it's implied from the statement, right? There exists corruption in our system. Yeah, there exists corruption in our system. Because of that only the minister is making such statement, right? Then only he is telling corruption needs to be fought at all cost. If there is no corruption, there is no need to have a fight. Okay, so second assumption is also implied from the statement. Then politicians suffer the most as a result of corruption. Now it's nowhere in the statement. The minister is making the speech before maybe public or before other persons. Now the other persons or the public may or may not be, public is all like public is not politician, right? There may be politicians in the audience, right? But all of them need not be politicians, right? So he is making the statement as a general that we are paying a heavy price. Now this we includes the minister himself and the other person who are listening to him or who are among the audience. Okay, so politicians suffer the most as a result of corruption. It cannot be implied from the statement. You getting my point? So only 1 and 2 are implicit. So that's option A. The statement, she looks so pale, it immediately struck me that she might be suffering from a dreaded disease, a man tells his friend. The assumption over here, the friend knows about the woman being talked about. Now to elaborate this, I just put up a simple example over here. Just listen to me carefully. Last week when I was going to my office, I saw an accident, and in the accident a woman was badly injured. So she was taken to hospital. Okay, now this entire incident I described, and I can say I told about the accident to my friends. Okay, now if I'm telling this incident, if I'm describing this incident, it's not what I'll say I saw an accident on the road and the woman was badly injured. Now it is not necessary that my friend or my colleague are knowing the particular woman. I'm just describing an incident, and in particular incident I'm talking about a woman. So it is not necessary that my friends know the woman. Okay, so the same thing is over here. Here the person, the speaker is talking about a woman, and the woman was so pale, so he's thinking that she is suffering from a dreaded disease. So the friend is, it's not necessary that the friend knows about the woman. Okay, so a very simple example I have put up before you. So this assumption is not implied from the statement, right? Looking pale is a likely symptom of a dreaded disease. Now here just read the statement once again. She looked so pale and she might be suffering from a dreaded disease. So the speaker is connecting the things, pale and a dreaded disease. That means looking pale is a symptom of a dreaded disease according to the speaker, right? According to this statement. So that can be assumed. Okay, so second assumption is implied. The disease had cast a terror in that area during those times. See, in this particular statement, the speaker is talking about a particular woman. He is not talking about the disease in that particular area. He has not mentioned any area over here, right? So this assumption cannot be implied from the statement. Only the speaker is talking about a particular woman, right? So only assumption 2 is implicit. So it is this option. Statement: the workers have decided to go on strike. God, what will happen to our supply orders a manufacturer? Here we can see the tension that is going in the mind of manufacturer in the statement. So it is not moral for workers to go on strike, the first assumption. Now here the speaker, the manufacturer, is just conveying his tension. He is just speaking whatever is going on his mind. He is not putting any sort of comment on the morality of the workers, right? So this assumption is not implied from the statement. Then supply is likely to be disturbed as a result of the strike. Obviously that's why he's making such statement. He has himself telling if the workers have gone for strike, then supply will be disturbed. What will happen to our supply orders? That means he is sure that the supply will be disturbed. Okay, so supply is likely to be disturbed. It can be assumed from the statement. The third one, praying to God may help one in a critical situation. See, it is a human tendency, human nature, that whenever he or she is in difficult situation, he remembers God, right? But you know, I know, nobody is going to help us. God will never come to help us, right? So that's it is not assumed from the statement. He must be using the word out of just tension only. Okay, or as I have already told you, it has become our habit to remember God when we are in critical situation. So here only assumption 2 is implicit. Okay. Statement: in our report published last week, the name of the author was misspelled. We regret the error. A magazine editor. The name of the author was not easy to spell. See, it's not the point of whether the name of the author was easy or not easy, right? In the statement, it's nowhere mentioned that the name was tough and because of that the error has happened. Okay, so this assumption is not implied from the statement. Then the second one, publishing correct name of the author is not as important as the quality of the article. See, if it is not important, that in that case the magazine editor would not have made this statement, right? If the article was good, he need not make this statement, that and he need not regret for the same. So he understands the value, or he accepts the mistake. That's why he's making this statement, right? So publishing correct name of author is not as important as the quality of the article is not assumed from this statement. And even in the statement, the editor is not making any comment upon the quality of the article, right? So this assumption is not implied from the statement. Then the third one, publishing correct names of the authors is desirable. Now that's assumed. That can be easily assumed from the statement, because if correct name is not desirable, then there is no necessity of making such statements by magazine editor. Okay, he understands the value of putting the correct names of the authors. That's why he's making such statement. That's why he's accepting his mistake, right? So only assumption 3 is implicit, this one, right? Friends, we have done so many questions in this session. We have done good number of questions even in previous sessions, and time and again I'm telling you the same thing, that do not mug up the concepts. You just try to understand the things, try to understand the situations. It is my personal experience, more the people mug up, more they are confused, right? See, you have to understand the general point of view, and that can be done only if you are having good exposure of the problems, good exposure of the questions. So solve as many questions as you can, but do not go for any sort of mugging up or any sort of ratification. Generally people try to derive some standardized results. If it happens, I have to mark this. If it doesn't happen, I don't have to mark this. So this strategy is not going to help you in a long way. Only your common sense or your aptitude will help you in a long way, right? Because in an exam, any question may be asked, any situation may be given, and you might not have come across these sort of situations in your life, right? So give yourself a good exposure. We'll be taking more problems in the coming sessions. Bye bye.